Hey guys, Metal Matt here, looking like some kind of magician, but I'm not here to do magic today. I'm here to talk about singing. You may have seen my other videos, how to sing like. I got a whole playlist if you want to find other ones here on the channel, on the homepage. I've done how to sing like Rob Halford of Judas Priest, Boy George, George Michael, Robert Plant, Paul Stanley, the list goes on. But I don't do these too often, but I've always had good feedback. People seem to find them helpful and useful, so that's why I'm here to help. It's not something I like to do often because it's a lot of work, a lot of effort, analyzing stuff and listening quite intensely to stuff, but I feel it's something I'm kind of good at. I can kind of get how people sing and kind of give you guys an insight if you're trying to sound a bit like this person, or just if you're interested in what techniques they're using. I'm a singer, Metal Matt, but it's not all about the metal, as you'll see today. But they are a band which influenced probably metal in some ways, because they're quite an influential band. You probably know who I'm talking about just by saying an influential band, because, or group, because they are kind of like the first boy band. The Beatles, of course, we're talking about, but we're going to particularly home in on Paul McCartney and see how he is singing, basically, because one thing with the Beatles, which a lot of people love, are the harmonies and all this kind of stuff. So we're just going to hear his isolated vocals. I found a few isolated vocals of different songs. We're going to listen to a couple, hear what he's doing, and I'll kind of tell you what I think he's doing and what techniques he's using. So that's it, really. We're going to dive straight in. I'm not really a big Beatles fan. I don't listen to the Beatles. I like some of the songs, While My Guitar Gently Weeps and all that. I love certain tracks, and Let It Be, Let It Be. I even though it's not something I kind of go out my way to listen to, I appreciate the great harmonies and the great melodies that come from the Beatles, and obviously they're very iconic. John Lennon, a huge part of why people love the Beatles, and also Paul, and Ringo, and the whole lot of them. People love each individual member. A lot of people might have their personal favorites. So if you're a McCartney fan, this is kind of for you today. Just going to hear what he's doing. I don't know myself, because I like a lot of different music, metal, rock. He isn't a vocalist I kind of have ever listened to and thought, wow, that's crazy what he's doing there, and unbelievable. But it's good. He's a good singer, good voice, and I just want to see what he's doing, because he's such an iconic kind of person and singer and musician. He's iconic in many ways, so I just want to see what he's doing vocally and kind of see if there's something impossible there, or if it's just something about him that, and the time and the fact that they all come together at that time, and that made kind of the Beatles mania, the craziness of the Beatles and their big fame. What was it Paul brought to the table, kind of thing. So we're going to listen to a bit of Let It Be first, with some isolated vocals by Paul, and I'll have a listen, see what he's doing. Right, let's dive in.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
So first off, there's a lot of accent there, which is quite interesting. You can hear that kind of Liverpudlian type accent, it's kind of there, it's quite clear. I think one thing a lot of people loved about the Beatles and McCartney is just that Britishness. As a British guy myself, I know there's a lot of good bands and good music come out of Birmingham, particularly in the heavy metal scene, but also the pop scene. Not just Birmingham, but England in general. And the Beatles with that whole Liverpool kind of accent and kind of working class vibe. It's kind of, I think people like to see this working class kind of band who had this style, this image, this unique thing, which I guess people hadn't heard before. I think that was the big thing with them. And straight up though, it's nice to hear that accent. There's not that many singers. A lot of singers try and do this American thing, where they're kind of putting on an American accent when they're singing, kind of thing, and it's a bit phony, a bit fake. I like singers that keep that accent. I mean, like the Cranberries, you hear Dolores with a very strong kind of Irish, texture to her voice. You can hear it there. And then there's other singers which do put on more of an American-y voice, and it does work. Ozzy Osbourne, maybe Rob Halford to an extent, in the metal kind of area, but still there's a Britishness there to kind of the eloquency of the way they pronounce words and things like that, which I think Paul's got. And he's also got a bit more accent. You know, it's not necessarily precision with the pronunciation. It's more how he would sing it as a Liverpudlian, which I'm guessing he is. You know, I'm sure they are. They're all from the Beatles, all from Liverpool, aren't they? The Beatles, I don't know, but as I say, my knowledge isn't that vast, but I know, you know, they're an iconic band. And I just want to dive into it. So yeah, let's kind of see what he's actually doing vocal-wise here.
When I find myself in times of trouble.
So it starts to get more melodic as it goes on. When I find myself in times of trouble. And he kind of brings it up at the end. When I find myself in times of trouble.
Mother Mary comes to me.
Just almost speaking and singing. So, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. And it starts to get more melodic as it goes on.
When I find
Myself in times of trouble,
Mother Mary comes.
Mother Mary comes to me. Nice vibrato. Mother Mary comes to me. And that Mother Mary, he's going from kind of a full voice. When I find myself in times of trouble. Almost talking, he's keeping the accent there. But then when it comes in with the melodic kind of parts, it's almost a falsetto, but not quite. It's kind of a head voice sound like Mother Mary. Suddenly it goes from here. When I find Mary comes to me, Mother Mary. And you can put you can kind of mix the two, the full voice and the head almost, because you can, Mother Mary comes to me. You can make it more of a head sound, which is kind of what he's doing there. Mother Mary comes to me. And it's nice how he goes from almost talking in between. It kind of keeps the message and the words quite clear for you to hear. He's not just mumbling it out into maybe an American twang like a lot of singers. He's quite precise pronunciation, quite British. You know, his diction is great, kind of thing.
To me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
Let it be. And he knows which sounds are good, like E. The E sound is good, particularly as a singer. E. You can always get quite a strong and clear sound out of that E sound, you know. Comes to me. And you can use quite a lot of vibrato, which he does on certain phrases here.
And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me.
So it's getting a lot more melodic now as it goes on, if you notice.
And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me.
And in my hour of, it's almost talking about, in my hour of darkness. You hear that darkness of his accent. I can't really do the Liverpool accent. It's one of the few accents I don't think I can get to, Scouser kind of voice. But, and in my hour of darkness. And then it's almost like Lily Allen. She does that kind of voice, that very British kind of voice, you know, but with melodic parts as well.
Speaking words of, let it be. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me.
And nice how he spaces out. She is standing right in front of me. Standing right in front of me. And he projects more, you know. And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me. So he kind of emphasizes the important parts of the lyrics almost, you know, with more of a singing vibe and melody in between the almost talking parts.
Speaking words of wisdom.
Speaking words of wisdom. And he's quite natural at switching into that falsetto head voice territory, but it's not like too falsetto. He's known for his screams. There's got kind of falsetto-y things he does sometimes. I don't know exactly when, but I've heard him scream here and there. He's a bit of a screamer, and that's kind of a head voice falsetto thing. Oh yeah, all that kind of stuff is or head sound, you know.
Let it be.
Be.
Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be.
See, the harmonies are a big part. The harmonies are coming in now, much like Queen and bands like that. They had the perfect voices to blend together, you know.
Words
of wisdom, let it be. So quite a strong full voice there. Be, let it be, let it be, oh, let it be.
whisper
The words of wisdom, let it be. So yeah, it's kind of let it be, let it be, let it be, oh let it be. But he's not too strong. It's not gonna let it be, let it be, let it be. He might project it more as it goes on, but it's stronger than the verses, but still in that kind of heady territory, you know. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be.
And when the broken heart.
And he goes back to that, when the broken, almost like Elvis, you know, well, the broken hearted people. It's almost like that, but not quite so emphasized, you know. And when the broken hearted people,
And people living in the world agree.
living in the world agree. Now he's getting quite kind of dramatic. Funny, this reminds me of someone who's completely different, but Robert Smith of The Cure is quite emotional when he sings, quite, oh, you know, and like, can't even think of his songs now. I did a video on him back of it, that's why I'm thinking of this, but yeah, quite the successful singers often, it's not all about the singing, which is an interesting thing. Sometimes it's just about that emotion, and that, particularly the British singers, you know, Robert Smith's got a very British voice, you know. I can't think of any of his songs right now. It's mad how your mind can go blank, but Friday I'm in love, and I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey and Wednesday too. You know, it's kind of very British, you know. It's not, I don't care if Monday's blue, Tuesday's grey. You know, I don't care if Monday's blue. And they kind of put on David Bowie, you know. Put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Let's sway to the sound they're playing on the radio. And it's kind of quite emotional, quite, you know, almost talking. So this almost talking thing is quite a theme, particularly with the British singers, actually. That might be a big differentiation between American and British singers. That's something I might have to look into for a future video. If there are any major differences between singers around the world, you know, or America versus England, you know, is there things that American singers do that British people just would never do? But it's so subtle we may not notice. But I do notice this with a lot of British singers. They do keep their voice, they keep their accent somewhat in the music, which is interesting.
There will be an answer.
There will be, see, that's very heady now. There will be an answer. And he's quite short on the notes, you know. Answer, let it be. You know, he's not kind of carrying stuff on unnecessarily, you know.
Let it be.
Be.
For though they may be parted,
For though they may be parted, back to that deep
there
voice.
is still a chance that they will see.
See, that's not even perfect there, really. That's a bit of a, they will see. His voice almost broke, you know, but they kept it
There
in.
will be an answer.
I mean, it's not bad by any
Let it
means, but it's,
be.
he's keeping the authenticity kind of
For
thing.
though they may
Be
be parted,
parted.
there is still a chance that they will see.
They will
There
see.
will be an
So there's a bit of strain there. There's still a chance that they will see. See, he didn't want to break into falsetto there. He could have been like, there's a chance that they will see. He wanted to kind of do it in a full voice. They will see. And you can hear there's a bit of strain almost on that. They will see. Because he had to push it more, you know, but his natural kind of comfortable voice is probably more the low thing. But he's known for this high kind of tone, which is interesting.
answer. Let it be.
Be.
Let it be. Let it be.
So it's getting stronger now. Let it be. Very, almost very, you know, chesty kind of sounding chest voice. Let it be. You know, almost like a different singer, but then he switches to let it be. And he kind of lets you know he's still going to sing it high, you know.
Let it be. Let it be.
Be.
Yeah, there will be an answer.
So he's kind of just getting into it now. Yeah, there will
Let
be.
it be. Let it
Be. Let it be.
Yeah, there will be an answer.
Yeah, there will be an answer. Kind of, he's playing around with the pitch, not quite like I just did there, but he goes, yeah, there will be an answer, kind of thing. Yeah, there will be an answer. He's kind of feeling it, but also giving it that classic McCartney kind of style. I can even imagine the kind of face he does while he does that, you know. He's got that very expressive kind of face often when he's performing, you know.
Be.
Let it be, let it be, let it be.
Yeah,
There will be an answer.
let it be.
So he does that very quick. Be an answer. He's doing that kind of high thing. He's repeating what he did before when I said about him going slightly higher than he needed to, but in a full voice. Be, just let there will be an answer. Kind of almost like that. It's almost not expected, but it's nice because it's consistent to what he did in the verse, you know.
Let it be.
Let it be. Let it be, let it be. Again, vibrato is a big part. Let it be, let it be. All that shaky voice, that's vibrato, you know. Be, kind of strengthens the sound, you know. Let it be, let it be. Rather than just let it be, let it be. You know, it's more a be. Gives a bit more fullness to the sound. It's kind of what most singers want to do, is have a bit of vibrato, you know.
Whisper words of wisdom.
Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. Again, heady territory. We'll go into another song in a moment, so we'll just see what else we've got here on this song, if there's anything else.
Whisper words of wisdom.
She's almost slurring there. It's like, whisper words of wisdom. You know, I think he's just kind of going with the vibe. He's not trying to be perfect here. There you go, that's interesting, bit of falsetto there. Yeah, let it be.
Whisper words of wisdom.
Whisper. I think he's sounding a bit more shaky here because he's probably not as comfortable in the falsetto. Unless you sing in falsetto a lot, it can be a scary territory to go into as a singer because you can be slightly off pitch or you don't do the vibrato good enough to make it kind of sound right. It's quite a precise thing. You know, I specialize in high kind of singing and screamy kind of vocals as a metal guy. You know, I'm kind of that 80s painkiller, all that kind of thing, and you got to be quite precise with how you're going to scream, otherwise it can sound off. So he's in a more gentle falsetto. Obviously it's not a metal thing, but he's starting to get a bit more heady now, and
Let it be. Let it be. Yeah, let it be.
I like, yeah, let it be. Let it be, yeah, let it be. He's not afraid to go into that lower sound, you know.
Whisper words of wisdom.
Whisper words of wisdom. He's letting it flow in one kind of thing there and kind of taking it kind of lighter, you know.
Let it be.
Let it be. See, that's quite nice. He's good at those strong falsettos, but the build up, you can hear a bit of shakiness. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. You know, and then he hits a nice note, you know, which is kind of interesting. That kind of, it kind of goes from real, quite authentic kind of vibe to a bit more like a professional singer. It's kind of, he's going in and out of that, you know, which I'm sure is deliberate, you know. It's not every word is like, I don't know, Beyonce or one of these kind of singers who are supposed to be flawless, you know, singing. There's touches of, you know, maybe should have done another take or could have done another take if it was like Simon Cowell, like, you got to get this perfect. Well, that's why these shows, Simon Cowell type shows, aren't always the right option, because the authentic musicians, you know, there's so many. I mean, I think of Steve Strange with Visage. Do you remember them? He's very British again and very kind of unique. And so many singers, you know, John Lydon, Johnny Rotten, you know, who wouldn't go through an X Factor or whatever, but they're legends, and it's because they've got something authentic. And it's not always about absolute perfection with music. Often what resonates with people is the realness and something that touches you from a true perspective rather than this orchestrated kind of perfect, because we aren't perfect. Us listeners to music who appreciate music, we're not perfect. We want the working class singer, Lewis Capaldi types who just got a nice voice and are real and just singing, you know, because they got a nice voice. And it's not about being absolutely perfect as a singer, you know. That's a big thing I'd say as an advice to singers: be authentic, and sometimes bring a bit of your authentic sound, of your real voice to the music, and to your sound, because don't always try and be absolutely perfect, because so many analysis I've done, as you can see on the channel if you want to go explore them, they're not all perfect, you know, and these are the final cuts, you know. It's not like, oh, you know, this is a take from that they didn't use. This is the take they used and we all love. But when you actually hear it isolated, it's not always absolutely what we could consider perfect as a vocal performance. But it is really, you know, because it's authentic.
And when the night is cloudy,
And when the night is cloudy. He's almost putting on an accent there, which is interesting.
There is still
And when the night is cloudy.
let it be.
And
And when the night is cloudy.
cloudy. So it's like when the night is cloudy, which is different, He's not kind of wanting to sound perfect, cloudy and precise with every word. It's more he's giving it some kind of originality, the way he pronounces stuff.
There is still a light that shines on me.
Still a light that shines on me. Very snappy at the end, but you got those nice long kind of notes. Still a light, light. You can do it lighter, light, or light that shines on me. And breathy in between, Still a light that shines on me. It's in and out of that strong sound.
Shine until tomorrow.
Shine until tomorrow. Let it be.
I wake up to the sound.
A lot more
of music.
pull coming
Mother
through now.
Mary comes to me.
I wake up to the sound of music. A bit more of an accent coming through. Maybe not quite like that, but his voice, his accent coming through,
Speaking words of wisdom, let it be.
So he didn't lose his
Yeah,
accent.
let it be
That was nice.
to me.
I'm sweating. It's
Speaking
Mexico, so I'm
words
hot.
of wisdom, let it be. Yeah, let it be.
Yeah. So you go straight into the next line. Things like that, you'd think the producer would cut out, in a perfect world like today where everything's got to be perfect. Yeah, and let it be. Yeah, let it be. You'd think they just snip the end off that and it'd be, let it be. But no, they keep that real, yeah, and into the next bit,
Let it be. Let it be.
So that was nice. Different melody there. Let it be, or something. Let's hear it again.
Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Yeah, let it be. Let it be. Let it be.
Let it be. He just brings it down really nicely there.
Yeah, let it be.
Yeah.
There will be an answer. Let it be. Yeah, let it be.
Yeah, let it be. Yeah, let it be. Let it be. See, kind of a nice melody change. He didn't do that throughout the whole song, but let it be. So it goes, yeah, let it be. And you hear that low bit come through. Yeah, you hear the switch from falsetto to the deep. Yeah, let it be, let it be, let it be. Can't even think what he's doing, but he does a totally different melody
Let
there.
it be. Yeah, let it be. Will be an answer. Let it be. Yeah, let it be. Let it be.
Let it be. It's nice, really nice that. I like
Let
that.
it be. Yeah, let it be. Oh, there will
Be an answer.
Let
Let
it
it
be.
be.
Yeah, let it be.
Let it be. Let it be.
Whisper words of wisdom. Let it be.
It's almost like a jam as it goes on, Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah. Kind of that, just kind of jazzing it up, quite authentic. So yeah, I mean, as you can see there, overall he's quite unique. He's not trying to be the best singer in the world, which again is something to keep in mind. I'll find another song just to have a little listen, see if there's anything kind of different.
Look at all the lonely people.
See, nice harmonies there. You can hear a bit of John, and you can hear all their voices blend in nicely. Eleanor Rigby, of course.
Look at all the lonely people.
Look at all the lonely people. So it's quite high. Look at all the lonely people. Look at all the lonely people. So it's quite breathy, heady. Nice harmony sound. Look at all the lonely people. And back to the lower sound. So heady kind of sound, kind of a mix. Ah, look at all the lonely people. And then back to the more chesty sound.
Eleanor Rigby picks up the rice in the church where a wedding has been.
Eleanor Rigby. It's almost, I notice, a robotic almost sound as well. Eleanor Rigby. Maybe it's his clone. Maybe it's that other guy. That other guy who's supposed to be Paul. Maybe he is a robot. But no, Eleanor Rigby. You know, Eleanor Rigby. It's very precise with the pronunciation, but he kind of breaks up the words. Rigby, Rigby, Rigby. You know, that's interesting. Another unique thing he does. So I hope these are kind of giving you an idea of things you can do to kind of get a bit of a Paul vibe going on. McCartney vibes.
Lives in a dream, waits at the window.
Lives in a dream, waits in the window. Again, very precise, very British, Harry Potter-esque.
Wearing the face that she keeps in a jar by the door.
Face in a jar in a door. You know, that's kind of more heady. Face in a da-da-da-da. Face in a drawer. You know, la-da-da-da. That kind of heady, kind of face in a drawer.
Who is it for? All the lonely people.
And he sings quite quiet, you'll notice. Who is it for? All the lonely people. So maybe that's something, you know. As a singer myself, I'm always quite loud, but I do sing more rock and metal, so it's kind of understandable. But a lot of these singers, like pop kind of stuff like this, it's not that kind of big sound. It's just Eleanor Rigby, da 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 da, and it's going from a kind of heady sound to a deeper sound, la da 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 da. But it's kind of very British, and he's precise, he's pronouncing the words in a British kind of way, and it's quiet, you know, like that's what gives it the talking effect. It's almost like talking, you know, but a bit more melodic.
Where do they all come from?
Do they all come from? I mean, that's basically talking at where do they all, where do, I can't think of the melody now, all come from, and then it's all come from, it's more like normal, you know.
Lonely people.
Lonely
Where
people.
do they all belong?
And he does those surprise, do they all belong? Where do they all belong? So that is like do, that's full voice. Where do, ah, breathy sound. Where do they all come from? And that's what gives it that Paul sound. You could sing anything like, I'm here singing to you today because I don't know why I'm doing this, but you know, it's kind of like that. You can sing anything, but to give it that Paul effect, you know, I'm in Mexico and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know, you know, whatever you want to sing. But like he's kind of going from strong to kind of talking, kind of whispery almost, but kind of a strong resonant sound, but kind of in a subtle way. It's not kind of put out there in a big dramatic way, you know.
Father Mackenzie, writing the words of a sermon that no one will hear.
Father Mackenzie, writing a sermon and da 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 da. You notice he follows that melody, it's just like, Father Mackenzie, writing a sermon that no one can hear. You know, he's going from strong to light, strong to light. A lot of singers do that. That's another thing I've noticed on these analysis videos. A lot of singers do that kind of la da 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 da. It's kind of a nice vibe, you know, to go from that strong sound to a light sound is quite common.
No one comes near. Look at him working, donning his socks in the night when there's nobody there.
And you'll notice the lyrics are just totally unique. I think that's part of his success, that much like Morrissey, people like that, he does this kind of singing, probably an influence perhaps. You know, a lot of these people are influenced by the Beatles. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, that kind of lighter, oh, I'm so sorry, la da da da, I'm so sorry. I think my phone's getting low on batteries. I'm going to wrap this up soon, but I am so sorry, la da 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 da. You'll notice that kind of similar thing, and lyrically, Morrissey is kind of similar, the Smiths, you know, a lot of these people have lyrics which make you imagine stuff. So if you're a songwriter, be kind of descriptive. He's talking about Father Mackenzie. Who's Father Mackenzie? You know, you kind of think, who is that? But you have your own idea. You know some other father, some other priest or whatever, and you kind of can connect that, and then you connect, you know, they're very descriptive. It's relatable somewhat. and it kind of feels like it's real. It's their life. He's telling you about Father Mackenzie. He isn't trying to sing about, I don't know, the sunshine and the rain and whatever is too obvious. He's kind of like, come into my world, which is something as a songwriter I think we should all do. Bring people into your world. We haven't always got to write outwardly like, will people like this? Are people going to relate? You know, you can write a song and think, oh, nobody knows what I mean, so I'm not going to say it. But often it's good to say it. I've just dropped a song, Let's Change History, and I'm talking about things in my life and also just obscure stuff that is unrelated to things that have happened. And I've kind of just put it into a song, and it's for other people to interpret, you know, but it's kind of, I know that there's some meaning in there, or there's something personal, and I think that's good, you know, because I gave it some real emotion from things I'm going through, but also kind of kept it open to interpretation. And yeah, that one's called Let's Change History, so check out that if you want Metal Matt. But that's my little plug. But it is that what I've just done, my latest song, so it's definitely relatable in the way that I've tried to put a bit of personal stuff in there, but I've kept it open as well. But songs like this and artists like this, they don't even leave it open at all. Almost, it's quite it's their life, you know. I could probably, as a songwriter, I'll probably take something from this and kind of write even more from a personal standpoint, or relatable things to me. Morrissey the same, you know, talking about I don't remember, some bicycle something. I can't remember, but just random stuff like who sings about bicycles and stuff. But it's obviously relatable to him, and you know, that's something I like, and people like that. I think people like the British. It's probably why a lot of people like Harry Potter, because they think we're all us British are like, because I live in Mexico and everyone's like, oh, Harry Potter. I'm like, I don't care about Harry Potter, you know, but they think British, there's something there. And I think that quintessential British thing is something appealing to a lot of people, because I guess a lot of countries and stuff don't have the monarchy and all that stuff. And it's just interesting to people how different the British thing is, you know, or it once was. I don't know if England feels much like anywhere else now, you know. It's not kind of, I don't think anyone cares that much now, but when it comes to music, people like that little quintessential British thing, scones and toast and bicycles and whatever, Marmite. I don't know, but just little things. So lyrically, he's very interesting.
What does he care?
And I'm not giving all the credit to Paul, because these are Beatles songs, so, you know, they probably all wrote the lyrics, or maybe some of the others, but I think Paul did write a lot of the stuff, so, you know, he might have wrote this whole song, I don't know, or someone else might have. You guys, you Beatlemanias, probably know better than me, but yeah, I'll ask Bill Maher or something. He's always gone on about the Beatles. But yeah, lonely people, do they all come from? Lonely people, quiet, melodic, quiet, kind of whispery. This is to sum up Paul, you know, kind of quiet, melodic, British. All these key things are coming into what makes him such a unique voice, you know. And harmonies, big harmonies are like the deal breaker. They got beautiful harmonies, the Beatles, you know. Lonely people, and you can hear John's kind of strong accent in there as well. They've all got that strong accent, which is nice, you know. The lonely people.
Eleanor Rigby died in the church and was buried along with her name. Nobody came. Father McCartney.
So it's all melodic, you know, the melodies are always there, so it doesn't matter if he's kind of almost talking, it's still melodic, and he takes it up to a more melodic, more like professional singer type thing for little bits, but not the whole song, you know. He's kind of singing but talking a lot of the time, you know, kind of vibe.
Wiping the dirt from his hands as he walks from the grave.
Grave.
No one was saved. All alone.
So he's got this harmony thing going on. He's singing low. Where do they all come from? And all the lonely people. Kind of that higher thing in the background. All the lonely people. So yeah, quite interesting overall. Quite a kind of unique voice. Quite a British, more British than I ever kind of realised, you know. Perfectly British, you know. Which I think is what people love, you know. That's kind of something, I think, why the fans love it, the Britishness of it. But yeah, that's kind of my rundown. I gave you guys an idea of what he's doing, you know. I'll see if I can get him on that Christmas thing he did, because I think that'd be interesting. I'm pretty much done now, but I'll give you guys a idea of what he sings like isolated on that Christmas thing, because what a wonderful Christmas time.
The party's on.
Bit more upbeat than the Beatles stuff, you know.
That only comes this time of year. Simply
Having
a wonderful Christmas time.
simple,
Simply
melodic,
having a wonderful Christmas time.
some small harmonies in there.
The choir of children sing their song.
So he's going through the whole kind of low to high thing there, but not in falsetto, more of a full voice.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding. Ooh.
And then some nice whispery, very quiet, you know, really quiet kind of harmonies there. That kind of thing, you know, it's nothing overly complex, but I think that's the great thing about him. He's kind of simple but effective with the way he approached it. Having a wonderful Christmas time. Strong, loud. Having a wonderful Christmas time. And very clean. There's no grit on there. There's not simply, because it's not a rock thing, you know. Simply having wonderful Christmas time. And it's kind of very clean, nice kind of diction, precise. You can understand what he's saying. Sweating, it's Mexico here, if I didn't mention already, and it's so damn hot. It's a lot of jingling bells.
Simply
Having a wonderful Christmas time. Simply having.
of children sing
And then that's low.
their
The choir of children goes to that lower chest voice thing.
They practiced all year long.
And again, it's kind of robotic. They practiced all day long. Almost kind of thing, a bit more melodic than that, but quite kind of robotic, you know. They practiced all day long. And I think it's because with the music, that kind of simple phrasing is just more effective, you know. That kind of precise thing.
Ding dong, ding
Dong, ding, dong. So you'll hear sometimes he's quite precise and quite robotic, and other times he's quite puts a bit more Liverpudlian twang in there and kind of a bit more of a British lilt, but sometimes he's a bit more robotic and just with the melodies. Simply having wonderful Christmas time. Simply having obviously is a bit more head sound. Having, kind of mixing it a bit more fullness, a bit more chest in there. Having wonderful Christmas time. Simply having wonderful Christmas time. Then it goes to that kind of the children, down to his more natural lower voice. The children singing, having fun. Kind of that kind of vibe.
ding dong.
Not my favourite song, I'll tell you that.
The party's on.
The party's on.
Spirits up.
The spirit's up.
We're here tonight.
We're here tonight.
And that's enough.
And that's enough.
Simply
Having wonderful Christmas time.
we're simply
Simply having wonderful Christmas time. Simply having wonderful Christmas time. Precise. There you go. Very precise, kind of clear. That's all this song is really. So you can see he does different stuff. You know, he's quite versatile. But obviously I'm sure his highlights would be the Beatles stuff, I'd imagine. Because a bit more clever, I guess, than that. But Christmas songs don't have to be clever, so you know, quite simple that. But a lot of the Beatles stuff is simple. I mean, a lot of people find it overrated, the Beatles, because it is just like a simple sort of thing. But then that is what makes a good song, you know. Here comes the sun, da 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 da. Just nice melodies, nice phrases, nice words, and real lyrics, real feeling, and some authenticity of accent and things like that, you know. So that's something that makes Paul unique. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope it's been a help in some way, and hope it's kind of gave you an idea of what makes Paul quite special and unique, and kind of who he is, you know, what makes him successful. And I'd say that is it really. That is why he's kind of is who he is. That's what he's doing. there's a lot of common themes I've seen with people like Robert Smith and people like that. Lily Allen, it reminded me of. Obviously, these people come after. Paul's the original, he's the OG. He's the one that would have inspired a lot of people, even probably not knowingly for a lot of artists, but also knowingly for a lot of artists. People always credit the Beatles. So there we go. We'll end this at 40 minutes. Subscribe and enjoy my next videos. See you soon.